Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Wives Club. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Margaret, just like you. I am a patron of Mr. Kevin Samuels. I simply booked a session with Kevin to ask for his permission to stand up a community of like-minded and marriage-minded women within the privacy of his Patreon group. And I am so grateful. Not only did Kevin give us permission, he came up with the name, The Wives Club. So what we do each week in The Wives Club, we react to Kevin's weekly shows. We bring in our life experiences, our action items, lessons that we've learned as a way of paying it forward and giving back. I am a former wife in the Atlanta area. We'll let the other wives introduce themselves.
I am a future wife from the Boston area and looking forward to today's conversation.
Absolutely. And Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I am a current wife. I live in the South Florida area, but I am on spring break with my daughter. And so we are visiting my sister who has a 16-month-old son. And my daughter's running around here somewhere, and we have a doggy around here. So might get a little noisy on my end, but I'm here and happy to be back.
We are so happy to have you, and it's totally fine. Look, life happens and it is real. Another thing that is real that I want to touch on this week, I'm looking forward to aging gracefully. I have shared with you all I'm 46, and as the elder stateswoman, if you will, I've seen a lot, and a lot of times women in my age bracket don't represent themselves well. And Kevin has actually warned a lot of our younger sisters to be careful who they take advice from. You guys may have remembered on some of the shows this week, we had a woman, I don't know if she was Latina or very fair skin. She had, in my opinion, a little bit excessive makeup on. And she came in saying how she was, promoting Kevin Samuels' message as a basketball coach and trying to teach women. We had the police officer who was in the panel on Instagram that was very masculine, trying to get her point across. We also had, there were just a variety of women. And unfortunately, one of the things Kevin says often is, why he doesn't date women his age. I'll give a little bit of story time. I may have touched on this before, but you guys know that in my life, in real life, I'm an Airbnb hostess, and my last 3 guests, if you've seen any of the other episodes, were all different versions of the older woman who shares my reflection. And one of the things that we can continue to work on, even if we are mature, is our femininity. One of my last guests who came in and actually was asked to, leave, she introduced herself as Dr. So-and-so. When I went to shake her hand, she just kind of gave me that look up and down, like she was just so, high and mighty. She just, did not respect that she was in someone else's home. She was so proud of her, accomplishments. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to being in relationship with men, none of that matters. So, I would just like to say, as older women, we have to take responsibility for how we show up. Just because we've lived life doesn't mean that we've lived the kind of life that deserves the type of respect that we want. We definitely can make sure that we take accountability for the mistakes that we've made and be honest and say, this is what I'm doing well and this is what I'm not doing well, because men are very rare. High value men, well, the kind of men that we would want to marry are very rare. High value men, exceptionally rare. And what you see often is this level, the way I look at it, as almost desperation. Once a woman gets past what no man's land, is it like 35, 40, 45 and up, you start to see this behavior where women in my age group are almost competing with women that are younger. We have to use our prime years to secure the kinds of relationships that we're going to want to have for life. Like Lisa said, she's on spring break. Spring break is coming up where I live. And Kevin mentioned it on the show, I believe last night, how inappropriate and off-putting it is to see women in their, late 20s and 30s still trying to hot girl summer, still trying to go down to, Destin or wherever, Cabo, and compete. As we age, our wisdom should match our life experience. And so that's one of the things that, I want to promote here, because believe me, when you get to, the age that I am, in order to have the type of relationship that you want, if you haven't been putting in the work, it's going to be very difficult. And then you end up buying a dog and hopefully not dying alone, but not the level of happiness that you want. So that's the first thing that I wanted to share.
Awesome. Really good points, Maggie. I think you hit on a lot of things, right? We've been talking about image and how we are portraying different things, especially on the internet, because it's like it's online forever, right? I think sometimes people don't think about that when they hop on some of these shows, because it has lasting impact, right? So the point that I wanted to make is really kind of centered on a theme that Kevin has been kind of weaving into things throughout this first half of 2022, and that's separation, right? He often talks about like highly sought after women and some of the characteristic traits that they have, because men know how to spot you when you are that highly sought after women. It does start with self-awareness, but I want to spend some time with the self-awareness part, because you know who you are and what your boundaries are, meaning like there are specific people, places, and things that you're just not going to be affiliated with. Right. There are going to be specific ideologies where, as, a woman in your space, you're not going to be doing some of those things. Right. So I would just say, like, hold true to that. Like you hear sometimes, men talk about how they're going to have their boots in the ground and not move on their values. Right. And we need to have those values as women as well, meaning like there are certain behaviors that are respectable and certain behaviors that are not respectable. And when we think about our ethnic image, this is all important stuff, right? So I think, as women, we can really give that some thought. Future wives out there too, this is important, especially in the dating space. You got to stay true to your values. It is crazy out here. People will ask you to do a lot of things that are just not okay. So I think just knowing yourself and sticking with your core values is going to be super important, but not like to the point where those core values conflict with getting together with a man, right? So I think we just need to think about that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Thankfully, I'm not in the dating space, but when you are competing, you do have to separate yourself, because like you said, men are always watching, and I'll come back to that as my last point. But for now, Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you. What did you have this week?
I thought that lady that was 37 and had the lipstick on and was looking all jazzy and was talking about I thought she was interesting. I couldn't believe what I was listening to, because her story was just so crazy. She was like, I'm married and I've been married for 15 years and I want to help these young women. But I'm not getting a divorce. We're separated and we're both seeing people, and he cheated so many times. And I'm like, well, where's the therapy? Or I don't think she was able to elaborate or anything, but it was just really weird. And the kid was like, well, pump your brakes. And like, what are you teaching the women? I just thought, I like that he brought to the fact, like, your example, what you're presenting right now is not great. And, she was just I think she was kind of taken aback, but I thought it was a good conversation that he had with her, because I wouldn't want, I wouldn't want to be saying that I'm preaching to someone or trying to help people if I'm presenting myself a certain kind of way. So I'm not saying she was wrong for what she was doing. I felt like her heart was in the right place. Maybe she just needed, we all just need a little, maybe need to try to do it a little differently, So hopefully whatever her situations are, she gets those kind of straightened out before she further helps anyone else along. But I think it sounded like she was in the right place. So I thought she was interesting. I hate to call people characters, but I feel like we do meet a lot of interesting characters on Kevin's shows, and they come out. So I really enjoyed watching their conversation, and I felt like she does have a lot to share with people. Like, just like we're here, we're sharing our experiences and our stories. I'm just hoping the way she shares them and presents them, and as I guess she wants to consider herself an elder to the younger people, I hope she just tried to look at her image a little bit more. So, but I thought she was a interesting person to listen to, and hearing her story, because I think it is good that people who do have experience share that experiences and say, this is where I messed up, this is where I failed, this is where I got back up and made it right, or made it better, or came back from a fall, or what have you. So I enjoyed listening to her, and I feel like she can be helpful to people, like just like in our space, you know. So I thought she was a good conversation. I enjoyed listening to her.
Yeah, we definitely can learn so much by what we hear and see on Kevin's shows. I think that's been one of the most brilliant takeaways for me, is when Kevin brings a woman up on the panel, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or an in real life conversation, being able to see yourself in that person, or see your friends, or see, your mother, or being able to connect the dots and say, my God, is that how I show up? Or is that what I sound like? Is that how I appear? And, we've talked about that in previous episodes. Kevin has declared 2022 as the year that self-awareness is sexy. And the only way you can improve is to kind of know what your baseline is, to know what your weaknesses are so that you can improve them. Walking around thinking that you're a 10, you can't get better from that. So I think we all can, definitely improve. And, that woman, like you said, Lisa, her heart was in the right place, but you could tell by looking at her, she's still moving in the way that, she was maybe, in her 20s. And when we become mature women in our 30s and 40s, it actually looks worse. We all give grace to children, right? When we have little kids and they're having a little fit, they're not emotionally mature to be able to handle, a hungry tummy or whatever. So we have to work with that. But as you get older, nobody's going to have the patience for that, especially not men. I want to touch on a little bit. There was an Instagram show that really struck me with a young woman that Kevin talked to. She was 26 years old. And, she was carrying herself in a way, like Kevin would say, a lazy dater, right? You're approaching the danger zone. And she really didn't have a plan for how she wanted to, have, marriage and a family. She had an idea, all the questions that Kevin asked. She doesn't want to work. She basically wants to live an upper middle class or upper class life, drive a reliable vehicle, have kids that go to good schools, being able to travel, all those things. But she wasn't really doing anything to be competitive. And I want to talk about being competitive. You can be competitive in so many ways that are still feminine. And we have to do that even when in relationship, because we always say that men are always watching, and it's true, but women are always watching men of value. So even if you have a man, I am so grateful. I reconnected from someone from my past after divorce, and he's on track. He was a Henry when we reconnected. Now he's a high value man. He's on track to be VP. So he's going through executive coaching and all this stuff. And so just watching his climb, that's part of the reason why I'm staying on top of my elegance, why I'm staying on top of my femininity, why I'm making sure that I watch what I put in my mouth, because men of value, even average men, have so many options, and women think, especially the younger women who act like you're never going to run out of options. Hear me and hear me well. When you are in my age, it is very rare, extremely rare, that you're going to find the type of man that you want had you have built a life with them over the time. So what struck me in that interview, Kevin asked her, if you were in a room with a high value man who was interested in marriage, and it was you and two of your girlfriends, would you compete with your girlfriends to be the one that he selected for marriage? And my jaw was on the floor. Her answer was, no, those are my friends. They can have them. I'll have another chance. I was shocked. At 26, I understand why, young ladies, you may think that way, especially if you're attractive and you're used to attention. I've always said I consider myself average. I was a late bloomer. I was in the books. And then as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten better. But I'm not used to being the one at all that I walk into a room and heads turn. That is not my experience. I have had to work to make sure that I stand out. Now, when I was younger, that was, working and staying competitive and making sure that I'm, able to be around the type of men that I would want to select from. Now that I'm older, all of my accomplishments I put on the back burner. I don't lead that I went to private school. I don't lead with having an advanced degree. I don't lead with having a 6-figure salary. Everything about me is the feminine part of me, and that's how I compete. Kevin told the young lady that you are foolish for not thinking that you should have to compete. I'm here to tell you, the man that I have, or the type of man that I want, I would continue to go after him and shoot my shot in a feminine way until he told me he's made another selection. I would not let another friend have the life that I want if I could make my case to a man of how I would add value to his life by knowing what I bring to the table, studying him, seeing how I can be a support system to him, feeding his ego, making him feel like he is the best man in the world for me, everything that I know how to do for other things that I want in my life. I am 100% putting that into my relationship. And even though I've been in a relationship for 10 years, I still do that every day and try to get better. Last thing I'll say is this, Kevin told that young lady, you should be able or should want to compete with girlfriends, because if you don't think women, non-Black women are studying and waiting for their opportunity to get a man of value, you are fooling yourself, and they will completely step over you to get that. There's a Bible story, if you guys know, in the Old Testament with Moses when, he ran off into the desert and he was at the well, and the priest had 7 daughters, and all of them saw Moses and wanted to serve him and make sure that he was refreshed and everything. And the father gave the oldest daughter to Moses. So even if they were your sisters, you need to put your best foot forward, because ultimately somebody's going to leave with that man, and you probably want it to be you. So that's the last thing that I had for this week.
Yeah, that is just so crucial, Maggie. And, just kind of being younger in the group, guys, like if I had this 5-10 years ago, I would be like thrilled to have this information, especially coming from older women where it makes sense, right? I think, we've seen this week in some of the shows, some of the advice we get from older women sometimes doesn't make sense, right? But I think it's super important on how you show up, right? There is not a good look when we're in the bonnets. There's not a good look when we wear the slippers with the socks. There's just not a good look when there's, you're on a show and you're smoking, right? Like those things are not a good look, right? So it all starts with, kind of like that image. The other thing I just wanted to mention this week is, and Kevin's been talking about this with kind of like, there's a lot of controversy around rankings and things like that. But I thought something that he mentioned that was powerful is don't lie to yourself. I think in this transformational journey to becoming wives, especially for younger women out there, you have to be very, very realistic. When I started this journey last year, about a year ago, I was 20 pounds overweight. I lost 20 pounds in the last year because I built a gym in my basement. I took my ass to the gym. Sorry to swear, but I went to the gym. It sucked. I hate going, but it's like, and it's hard. Like I do CrossFit. I don't like it, but I do it because I know that it keeps me in better shape. Went to a doctor's appointment. They were like, your cholesterol has like significantly improved in a short amount of time. So I started to see the benefit of it, right? But if I wasn't going to be honest with myself, like, hey, I'm overweight. and I'm short. So it goes to, like, people say it's good places. It goes to the wrong places, in my opinion. Right. But because I'm healthier now, I feel so much better. And the people that I'm with are focused on health, and I feel like more connected to those folks, right? And there are people in my CrossFit gym that are in their 50s that look so young. It is incredible. So I think, we have to be very, very open to what's happening, because the point that Kevin made was, sometimes he sees, when he grew up, he saw women like kick the scale under the bed or something, because they don't want to face the number that's on there. But I think we really just need to be healthier and think about the long-term benefits of just taking that time for you. You're investing in you as a person. You're investing in your family, because you're going to increase your longevity, right? Health is just, that's something that I think we need to be very, very honest about. And then at the end of the day, people can spot you, right? Like, now that I'm in this health focused journey, when I see other people that are like, I can see their muscles, or if I see them running, it's almost like a level of respect, because I'm like, oh, look at you, you're taking care of your health, right? Or you're going for a jog, or you're walking your dog, or wherever it is that, it just kind of helps you show that level of respect for people that are putting in the same work, because you know what it's like, right? Even if it's like diets, like Maggie, I'm so proud of you with the progress that you've made, because it's motivating, right? When you're around like-minded people that are focused on the same thing, it's super motivating. So for the future wives out there, I would say continue to watch. We're very friendly here, like-minded, and we like to share as much as we can to help see you guys win too. So that's all I have for this week.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you so much. And you're right. One thing that I'll say, men, high value men, average men, not only are they just watching to see, they're watching to see what we make a priority. So if they see us putting health and wellness and, being fiscally responsible and all of those, disciplinary things important, they can see bringing us into their lives easier, because we already have some structure and discipline. But Lisa, what else did you have for this week?
I really like what you were saying earlier, Margaret, about the story of Moses and the daughters at the well. I'm a oldest daughter of 3 daughters, and me and my sister are like stair steps. It's me and my younger sister. I'm the oldest. My younger sister is 3 years younger than me, and there's a sister in the middle. So we all grew up together, everything. And I remember kind of like a story time dating my husband. When I met him, my husband has a unique name, and he didn't tell me his real name, and he didn't tell me he was in the military, because I was against military guys, because I was a military daughter. My dad was in the Navy. And so I was dating my husband for a little while, and I found out his real name and I found out his age, and I found out that he was in the Navy, and I was like, oh, I don't want to date him anymore. And I was really mad about it. And then my sisters, I would still go out with them and stuff. So I went out with them. And I remember my little sister like, well, if you don't want him, I'll take him. And I was like, what? So, when he asked that girl, would you let your friends take him? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't even let my sister, because when my sister told me that, yes, I'm at my sister's house. When she told me that, I was like, you know what? Maybe he ain't so bad, because you ain't about to get him. So there is a real, I think I hope that hit a lot of people, because I was like, it ain't even got to be my friend. I'm talking about my sisters.
I'm sorry, I have to get into this.
This is my sister.
I said that for the very purpose of sending her back to him. Okay? Little sister got some wisdom. And I knew that, okay, yeah, he lied about certain things, but he lied because she put all these walls up, and he was like, well, and he was willing to knock those walls down. And I am so happy, because I love my brother-in-law, Tomek. He's the brother I always wanted, and he would never be the man for me, though. Whew. But he is an excellent, excellent husband to my sister. And that was, so I didn't want him, okay? Let's just make that clear. But I was trying to send her back into his arms. Point. Okay, I'm out.
Thank you. My sister, y'all. My little sister. So, yes. When he said that, that struck me so hard. I was like, hell yeah. Excuse my French. But I think a lot of people can relate when, I hope the young people are listening, because your sister, even your mama, your auntie, if they out there single and they see something they want, you better go get it. And my husband wasn't even a high value man. My husband's not a high value man, but he wasn't. He was just he was what I wanted, and I knew what he had the potential to be. And so I would say that really hit me. And that story, you know, the women at the well and the sisters and everything, it don't have to be your friend. It could be your sister. It could be anybody. But if you see something of value, you need to go after it. Just like you go after these jobs, you go after these, whatever it is, you're like, I want the bag, I want this. You want the man, okay? So that was my little tidbit and my sister. So hope that helps, and I hope that reached out. I know I feel like it should reach to a lot of people because I felt that one. That was a good one.
You're absolutely right. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. I tell you, family, gotta love them, right? I mean, we keep it real here. Look, you all have seen my guests in my background, so it is totally fine. I can relate. But yes, we need to start moving, like Kevin has said, like our hair is on fire with a sense of urgency. There are so many more women who are willing than high value men, or whether you're high value or a Henry or even in the hit squad. When I met my guy, he was in the hit squad, and I've been there while the transformation has happened. So, you know, winter is coming, even though spring break is upon us. And I'm here to show you guys, you know, at 45, 46 and up, you definitely want to be coasting at this age and settling in with the relationship that you've put the work in when you had your most value to offer. So we're going to close it out. And did you have anything else this week?
Nope, another gem this week, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this episode.
Absolutely. And Lisa, what about you? Any final thoughts?
No, we're going to enjoy spring break, and hopefully I'll be back in sunny, warm Florida. So I don't have to be wearing these turtlenecks, but we're going to have a little break. So hopefully be back, and I've enjoyed this week and sharing my family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching. Again, the Wives Club is open to anyone who's a patron. There'll be a link in the description if you want to join the panel. We'd love to have you just fill out the form, whether you're currently married, formerly married, or want to be married. If you have the mindset of a wife, then the Wives Club is for you. And if you're a man who's looking for a wife, you may be able to shoot your shot or present your benefits package here on the Wives Club. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.